Hey guys, the Common Man here. So I wanted to film a quick follow-up video, or kind of a long-term review, I guess, of the Leatherman Surge. I actually got a request to do so in the comments, and I thought it's actually not a bad idea. So I was carrying this multi-tool quite a bit, and in fact, it still does have its particular times where I carry this over any other tool or pocket knife in my pocket. Pretty much, I just wanted to kind of give a follow up to it and let you know, is it something that I still do carry, and how have I liked it. So obviously, this is a pretty big multi tool. It's a very similar platform to the Leatherman Wave or Leatherman Wave Plus, which I actually have right here. So we can go ahead and just get a quick size comparison or side-by-side comparison. So you can see the Leatherman Surge is considerably larger just in its overall profile, much bigger in the hand, definitely thicker as well. You can see considerably thicker actually. But overall it looks pretty similar. You can see a little bit more robust up in the plier head there. It's got some reinforcements there. But it's still got the cutter heads. It's still got 4 external tools. It's got a bunch of internal tools. However, the tools themselves are a little bit different. They do both accept a pocket clip, although I will say the Leatherman Surge, if you use the standard Leatherman pocket clip, say for the Wave or Wave Plus, it fits extremely loose. So you really want to get an aftermarket clip specifically designed for the Surge, and it's going to fit a lot tighter. This one I think I paid like $7 for on Amazon. Well worth it. It's definitely still a multi-tool that you can carry in the pocket. You see a lot of people, if you look online on opinions, a lot of people say it's just too big to carry in the pocket. I haven't found that to be the case. And I'll just kind of let you know what I generally use this knife for is when I'm working on my vehicles or working on anything with, usually anything with an engine. I generally like this. If you want to have a nice, robust tool, you're going to use a set of pliers. You're going to use probably a pry bar, which this does have an excellent little pry bar in it. Or a screwdriver, whatever you might need that this tool has. This is definitely going to be a good option because everything on this is very robust. But anyway, usually when I'm doing that kind of work, I've usually got some heavier pants on or maybe heavier shorts. So this does fit nicely in the pocket. It's a little bit heavy, but honestly, it really doesn't bother you. If you're wearing a belt, it's not going to pull your pants down or anything like that. It's going to be a little bit bulky, but it's certainly going to still be pocket friendly. Not nearly as much so as the Leatherman Wave. Or Wave Plus. This is definitely a smaller, lighter platform. However, I do find that this does feel, I think it's enough pliers or enough of a tool for what you generally need, but it just doesn't give you the same confidence just because of its overall size as this one does. This just feels like you couldn't break it if you wanted to, whereas this, I don't know, just the overall size, again, after having the Surge in your hand, this almost feels like maybe it's just not quite enough. That's probably ridiculous. I'm sure this is plenty for what anyone would need, but it's just nice knowing that you've got this big beast of a tool when you need it. So let's go ahead and just talk about some of the tools on this that I actually really enjoy. Obviously, the pliers are incredible. It's very robust. I've been able to pry things. I've been able to rip off plastic, little plastic connections or clips and things with no problem. The cutter heads work exceptionally well. I've never had an issue with that. Cutting wires, cutting thin metal, like metal rod. It certainly just chews right through that without an issue. It's got these nice, fine needle nose pliers on the tip, and then a nice set of standard pliers with good grip right here in kind of the meat of the plier heads. It's performed very well. It's extremely comfortable. You can put a ton of pressure on it, and there's very little flex. And what flex there is, it doesn't make it feel weak. It's just, it just has a slight bit of bend, but you can tell you can put a whole lot more pressure on it. It's not going to break. So the pliers have been excellent. Let's see. One thing that's kind of weird is that the way that the pocket clip sits, it doesn't sit in relation to the tool's blade. It doesn't really sit where you'd want it to. If the pocket clip's going to be here, for me, I would want the blade to be right here so it can pull out of the pocket and then deploy the blade. There is a blade here, and you can see I stick the saw blade in with this one, but this is the serrated blade. I'll be honest with you, I could go without the serrated blade. I've never used, well, I can't say I've never used, I've used the serrated blade, but I can't think of an instance where I'd rather have a serrated over a straight edge. I guess it's nice having a couple of different cutting tools, just in case one dulls down. But I really would really love to see the straight edge where the serrated is. And honestly, I would do without the serrated, and I would love to have a dedicated saw blade. Now that kind of leads me into another feature about this that I think is very cool, although I haven't really utilized it as much as I thought I would, and that's this T-shank adapter. Very cool concept. You can have a couple of different tools in here. You can have the wood saw blade, which is included, or this metal file, which is also included. Or if you'd like to pick up other T-shank blades or tools, you can. One thing to keep in mind is it's got to be short enough to close in here. So, but even if you wanted to put a longer blade and just use this tool as a handle for whatever that saw blade is, that would work just fine. So if you have say a metal blade or a thinner coping blade, something you want to put in here, and you just want to be able to use it with the tool, you could put any size blade on here technically, as far as I can tell. As long as it's a T-shank, it should work. So it's a cool idea. However, I've found it's a little bit annoying when you want to have both of these, and especially if you want to switch between the two of them relatively often or relatively quickly. I've kind of overcome that by the little trick, which I didn't come up with. I can't remember where I saw this, but you can just put the saw blade in with the serrated blade. It hides there. And you should probably do it the other way so it's not poking you. But it hides there just fine, and it's there for when you need it. And again, I don't use that serrated blade very often, so it just doesn't get in the way. It's a nice place to hide it. The straight edge is great. It's 420 HC if I remember correctly, which is fine. Holds an edge okay. It's certainly not like my Leatherman arc, but it does hold an edge okay. Now, one thing that I will say is if you're looking for a high quality blade grind, you're not going to find it on this. I mean, it is all over the place. You can see the bevel changes. It's the height of the grind is different on either side. It almost has this kind of like a recurve kind of grind to it, which is not, as far as I can tell, it was not intentional. But you're just not getting that quality blade grind that you would from like a nice premium pocket knife. But as a cutting tool, it works great. It's easy to sharpen. You don't have to worry about the way it looks when you resharpen it. So that's pretty cool. I have used this blade quite a bit, and it's held up nicely, and all I've had to do was strop it maybe once or twice. And the blade play on my particular tool is like nothing. There's almost no blade play whatsoever. My Leatherman Wave Plus had a ton of blade play, but this one is nice and tight. Another thing you get, which I really enjoy, is the scissors. These are huge. These are absolutely massive scissors for a multi-tool, and they work very well. They are not Victorinox quality scissors, but they aren't too far behind. They cut nicely. I've cut some pretty robust material with these scissors, and thick cardboard, canvas, and they do very well. And then they just hide right back in there, no problem. Another tool that I've really enjoyed on this is, let's see if I can get it. And one thing is, this is a two-handed tool, 100%, and it's also getting my hands all black. All that coating still is wearing off. But another tool that I absolutely love is this thick flathead / pry bar. I use it as a pry bar a lot, and it's really held up to abuse. I've really been able to torque on this thing, and it holds up great. So you've got the reamer, the large flathead, the small flathead, and then on the other side you have the screwdriver, which I haven't used a ton, but it does work quite well. I use this screwdriver in my other Leatherman multi-tools quite a bit, and it does work quite well. These smaller, thinner bits are they're just fine with me. And then this can opener, I haven't used this particular can opener, or bottle opener, I guess. Haven't used it on this tool, but sure, go ahead and throw it in there. I guess it doesn't hurt to have it. And then the other thing is, too, all of these lock. It's just got this, and I can demonstrate. Even the screwdriver here locks into place, so you can't close it until you depress this little lever here, and then it allows you to close it. Pretty cool. So I like that all of those internal tools, all of the tools on this do lock in the open position. So the thing is with this tool, although it's an exceptional tool, it does fit in the pocket quite nicely. It's very robust, and I think it's built incredibly well. The thing is, I just don't carry it as much as I used to, because not because I don't think it's a good tool. Again, I think it's because I have other tools now that sort of work better for me. One tool that I really want to compare it up against is the Leatherman Arc. Now, obviously, as far as the price goes, they're pretty different in price. This is about $230, which a lot of people are saying is way over the top, very expensive. I'll admit, that's expensive. Whereas this guy's right around, if I remember correctly, it was like 160-ish, which is still not cheap. But the thing is, they're both, this is definitely bigger, but not by a ton. And the thing is, the Leatherman Wave Plus is actually smaller than both of them. I think the Leatherman Arc is just a hair bigger than the Leatherman Wave Plus, and we'll get them all open. So with the Leatherman Arc, I'm still getting a slightly larger, at least it feels larger than the Leatherman Wave Plus, and I don't feel like I'm losing too much in the size versus the Leatherman Surge. Obviously, yes, the Leatherman Arc is smaller, but again, it kind of feels like it's right between these, and in some cases, this just feels like overkill, and this just feels like maybe not quite enough. So a lot of the features that you get in the Leatherman Surge, you get in the Leatherman Arc. Of course, you don't get the T-shank adapter, but you do get the relatively large scissors. They aren't the same design, but they are pretty close in overall size, you can see, or at least a lot closer to the Surge than the Leatherman Wave. So it's a decent size set of scissors. And then the other thing, so obviously size is a consideration. This is a little bit smaller, just a little bit thinner. You can see a little bit smaller profile, still giving you that nice robust feel. But then the other thing, the big thing for me is the one-hand operation. The Leatherman Surge is very much a two-hand operation tool, both to open the pliers and to access any of the internal tools, and even some of the external tools can be a little bit awkward one-handed. That is one of the big reasons that I stopped carrying the Surge so much. Again, if I'm doing work on my vehicles, this may be the one that I go for because of its robust design. But this one I just find I'm reaching for much more often. You can see you can open up the pliers with one hand very, very nicely. You can close them up. You've also got the nice cutting head on this. You know, I'll say it again, you've got plenty robust pliers. Any of the internal tools can be opened with one hand, which I really like. And now I'm trying not to get carried away here because this is not a video about the Leatherman Arc. This is about the Leatherman Surge, but again, I'm just trying to describe why I just don't carry the Surge quite so much anymore. As you can tell, I really, really love the Leatherman Arc. And then honestly, if I'm not carrying the Leatherman Arc, this is probably the other multi-tool that I'm going for. This is the Victorinox Spirit MX Clip. And it's such an excellent design. Now, this is not a one-hand tool. This is also a two-handed tool, both to open the pliers and to open any of the internal tools, except for the blade. Now, the blade is small. It leaves a lot to be desired, but if you're just wanting a multi-tool with a bunch of different features that you generally get in a multi-tool, this is very nice because everything just feels so precise. It feels so well built. And to be honest with you, I just think the build quality on the Victorinox Spirit is just a step above the Leatherman Surge, but you are not getting that big, robust feel in the hand from the Victorinox. So that's definitely where the Surge takes the win there over the Victorinox. So, those are my thoughts on the Leatherman Surge. It's an excellent tool. I think if you're in the trades and you need something that you can rely on and you know will not break on you, this would be an excellent, excellent option, especially if you wear heavy pants or heavy shorts and you don't mind something bulky, or if you want to wear this on your belt, which I never really did. This would be an excellent option. So I definitely highly recommend it for the money. But again, I just have other options. I have other tools that I already own. So that's why I just don't carry this quite as much. But yeah, it's an excellent tool. I'm very, very happy with it. And again, I'd highly recommend it. So anyway, thanks guys. That probably went a little bit longer than I expected, but it is what it is. I like to make sure I'm detailed in my overview on these tools. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you guys want to see more of my knife and EDC content, please stay tuned. I've got a lot more coming, and I'm hoping to pick up some new tools coming up here soon. So definitely watch out for those videos. But thanks, guys.